from Kolkata, and after completing his postdoctoral fellowship in USA, he joined in Calcutta University in 2005, and now he is a full professor, and he has many award recognition and responsibilities because of he has a lot of credential in the synthetic organic chemistry, not only, and also he working on many other areas like nanotechnology, nanoscience, and then sensing technology also. So some award and recognition, and he obtained, he is a fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry, and then fellow of Indian Chemical Society. Also he awarded in Vasudev Memorial Banerjee Award, and many others. So he actually he also is an editor in chief of many journals, and also member of editorial boards like American Journal of Nanomaterials, Journal of Nanoscience and Advanced Technology, and so on and so forth. So many there. So it is list is very big, really. So he is working, and his research interest on various fields, as I mentioned: organic synthesis, organic chemistry, polymer chemistry, fabrication of materials, nanomaterials, and many things. So his research group also is very big. Till now, I think 32 postdoc, they have performed their research on under his supervision, and 42 PhD produced so far. So today he will talk on the title is actually organic materials for sensing of lethal chemicals. So lethal chemicals. Hope this title is very interesting. So with this, I request Professor Maiti, uh, please you just enlighten us with your talk. Welcome, please, Professor Dilip Kumar Maiti. Hello.
Professor Majumdar, I think there are some network issue in speaker's end. So I phone call him, and he is trying to join again.
Yeah. Okay.
So I request all the participants, please cooperate with us.
হ্যালো হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ, ইয়েস, হ্যাঁ।
আচ্ছা
আপনি স্ক্রিনটা
তোর ওখান থেকে
শেয়ার করুন আগের মতো।
ওইটাই তো কেটে যাচ্ছে বারে বারে, আমি তো বুঝতে পারছি না রে।
ইমেলটাকে সেন্ড করো, তুমি ডাউনলোড করো, ওটা খুলো, ওটা। আচ্ছা, তাহলে কি আমরা এখান থেকে শেয়ার করে দেবো?
হ্যাঁ 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 হ্যাঁ
তাহলে আপনি বললেও নেক্সট স্লাইডে যাবে আর কি, কারণ
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
চেঞ্জ
হ্যাঁ
করতে তুমি করো।
হ্যাঁ, অসুবিধা নেই।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, একটু ওয়েট করুন, আমরা খুলছি।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
Dilip da, now you can start,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you just indicate for shifting.
ওকে
Okay, Professor Maiti. Professor
Okay.
Maiti. Okay, please start.
বাট আই কান্ট সি এনিথিং।
You can't see slide?
নো
No, you in your screen you can see workshop TU, and then you pin. There is an option, pin to screen.
ইনটু স্ক্রিন।
Workshop
There is-
meetings to you.
ওকে ওকে,
Workshop-
নাও ইট ইজ দেয়ার। ওকে
Okay.
এটা কি ফুল স্ক্রিনে আছে?
Yes, you can continue.
ওকে
You start, please.
Okay. Very good afternoon. So my talk will be, I'll deliver the talk, organic nanomaterials for sensing lethal chemicals. Next slide, please. Okay. So nanoscience, I thought in this way that I'll talk a little bit about nanoscience, and then I'll enter to the nanomaterials, and then I'll go for nano devices. Okay, so nanoscience, nano means actually dwarf, so it is 1 billionth of a meter. Here is the only area, already you have seen in the last few lectures, that this is the nanoscience is the area where actually every people from every stream, they are working together, and we are working together for something great. Next slide, please. Okay, so nanoscience, actually it is defined in this way that on any dimension of a particle, if it is 1 to 100 nanometer, then it is called nanoparticle. And you can see that if you want to shoot a object, you need a gun, and you need a object to shoot. But in nanomation, in nanoparticle, if you want to shoot this nanoparticle, you need a high resolution microscope. That angry man, that's why trying to shoot nanoparticle, he took one gun and then trying to shoot this one with this one. So it is, that's why this is the basic difference between particle and nanoparticle. And you can see this is the way we actually explain. And in the left side there is the microscope, general what you call it, design of a microscope. Next slide. Okay, so nanoscience actually, Richard Feynman is called father of nanoscience, and he told that there is plenty of room in the bottom. You can write 5 volumes of Britannica in the tip of a pin, and he told that that you need to, if you want to see this nanoparticle, then you need to improve the resolution of microscope, whatever there that time in 1959. So you need to improve 100 times greater. And after that, actually, a lot of people got Nobel Prize, and you know that ACM, TEM, FEXM, AFM, a lot of instrument came there, and you can see also AFM with the Professor Arshad lab. You can see that one. And this concept of nanoscience actually, can you click again? Please click. So this is the observation actually observed by Benjamin Franklin. He wrote a letter to Gowdy that he put 1 spoon of oil on a pond and it almost spread out 1 acre land, but it looks like a glass, but actually it become color. What happens? Oil is not miscible in water, so this remains on the surface and try to spread over and spread up to when it forms nanoparticle. Once it forms nanoparticle, then actually it give you different color. You know, it is a size dependent phenomena. So it gives you color, a yellow color, that because of the nanoparticle formed by 3 to 5 oil molecule come together, and that's why it looks like color. Next slide. Okay, so if you want to just understand that what is nanoparticle, then we always see our hair is very small and it is looks like this, but actually hair also 100,000 times greater than the nanometer. Next slide. Okay, so this is actually the hair, and we put red blood cell over there, and then actually then also you can see red blood cell also 6,000 greater than a nanometer. But when you go to the DNA, RNA like that, and then you can see that DNA having width is around 3 nanometer, and it actually a nanoparticle. So ultra long nanoparticle. That's why maybe all biological chemical reaction is happening in our body at room temperature, and that's why we are living. Next slide. Next please. Next. Okay, so this is I told you that nanoscience is a single platform where a lot of people working together from all science and technology. People are working together. Let's tell you one observation, that suppose someone is suffering from a heart failure disease, and you need to send a drug, and the drug is poisonous, so you need to do the drug delivery only that organ. So that is not possible when you take by injection or orally you take, that is not possible. So you can it can be done through nano thread. Nano thread means it's a nano wire, a nano tube, a very small, even you cannot see with your naked eye. You need a microscope to watch that one, and that can push through its body and reach to that particular organ. And 1 microliter of this particular reagent can be transferred, medicine can be transferred, and the patient will be cured. Next slide, please. Okay, you watch over here that a small snail, it is growing up on the device, that is nano device, and it is trying to capture what are the chemical reaction is going on. Suppose it is moving, you know that neurotransmitter actually generated from presynaptic zone and goes to the postsynaptic zone, and then only our movement occurs, and that movement is called biochemical reaction, and that neurochemical reaction can be actually observed by taking this nano device. So nano device, that's why a platform, nanoscience is a platform where all people are working together. You see, to make this device, we need physicists, we need mathematicians, we need technologists, we need chemists, we need biochemists. All people will work together to do something great. Next slide. Okay, so you can watch this nanoparticle that when you have a gold having golden color, but when gold is in angstrom level, that is actually colorless. But when you come to 1 nanometer, gold metal become non-metallic. So that is very interesting. Gold, you know, that is a very good metallic property, and it can carry current, but here it is non-metallic, it cannot conduct electricity. But when you have 3 to 30 nanometer, it is metallic, it is transparent, so it is red color. So color also changing, properties are also changing. So what happens between 1 to 3? That is actually semiconducting material. So same gold you can use as a non-metallic, you can use as a metal, you can use as a semiconductor. So that is the beauty of a nanoscience, where we can work together. Next slide. Okay, so there are actually a lot of property are changing. That is optical property, electrical property, magnetic property, physical property, chemical property. All properties are changing with this observation. Next slide. Okay, this is basically particle when they are small, they are actually their chemical activity also improved. That is due to the actually coordination number. They are reducing coordination number when they are going to small to smaller particle, and that's why it gives you different type of observation, different catalysis property, new other property. Next slide. Okay, next. So here is the process. You can make nanomaterial. So it is, I know it is a forum where physicists, chemists, mathematicians, technologists, every people are there. So, but you need to know when you want to make this nanomaterial, you know how to make a nanomaterial, then only you can work there. So you can see in the first slide, it is called cooperative self-assembly. And this cooperative self-assembly actually forming over there, and nanomaterial is formed inside of that particular cavity over here. You can see here nanoparticle form, and this surfactant actually absorb on the surfaces. On the other hand, if you want to make a defined nanoparticle, means I want to make a nanoparticle of 5 nanometer, then you should go creation of nanospace, and it can be done in organic solvent using surfactant. And as you can see that surfactant form a spherical area, and they are the starting material over there. Suppose you want to make cadmium sulfide nanoparticle, so you need to take cadmium carbonate and sodium sulfide, so they will come over inside to that one, and immediately it will transform to this particular nanoparticle. And now you remove all this surfactant out of that, and then you will get nanoparticle, and you can use for your purpose. Next slide. Okay, so organic, so this whatever I told already, that is about the inorganic nanomaterial, means metal nanoparticle, metal oxide nanoparticle. I'll show you few observation also, that how to fabricate and how to work with that one. Basically, I am going to tell you that you already learn a lot of technologies, all of those things, but I will show you how to make this nanomaterial, and then how to move towards the nanotechnology, where you can perform that particular sensor technology. So organic nanomaterial, such a it is large, it is larger molecule, and it is a little bit different with respect to metal nanoparticle. And here organic molecule can be used as a semiconductor, can be used as a conductor, and can be used as a insulator. So I'll show you that thing. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. So this is organic molecule. Organic molecule little bit having more number of atoms, maybe 30, 40, 50, 80 atoms. And it may be, you can think this is a material of suppose nano building block of like that. It is just like a bricks, you are making a house, and they are arranged in different type of pattern. So organic molecule actually arranged in a different type of pattern, and this type of pattern is called H aggregation, and bottom one is called J aggregation. And H aggregation actually it is they are linked face to face, and in the J aggregation it is they are arranged head to tail. And how do you know you have H aggregation? If you see that during your UV near IR or PL measurement, that it is giving you the material give you the shorter wavelength, coming shorter wavelength, then it is called H aggregate. And when it is give you the bathochromic shift or longer wavelength coming, then it is called J aggregate. But only important thing is that when you have the nanoparticle, if they are not arranged properly, means one of the block out of the order, then that flow, current flow or heat flow, like you can see over here. So this is actually this going to opposite, and that's why that current generation actually stop, and it will not work as a device. So making organic nanomaterial, which is our theme of our today's lecture. So making organic nanomaterial is a challenge. So you need to fabricate this nanomaterial in a proper way, and then only you can use that one. Next slide. Okay, here it is very interesting observation. Why nanomaterial is so interesting? you can see this is a solar cell. Basically, you can see this is a solar cell. It is silicon is there, and it is a solar silicon. So photon is coming over there from this sun ray, and electron is ejected, and voltage difference will be over here. You can use as a bulb. You can use for the light, or you can charge your battery. But only problem is around 50% of your 46% of incident photon is effective, but 54% actually either absorbed or reflected. So it is not going to work. So what to do? So, but what happens if you use pentacene like this molecule over here as a instead of silicon? Then it is observed that this it is giving 100 photon, giving 143 electron. So you are getting more than the expected. Then why it is happening? The reason is very simple. You know this pentacene having a pi cloud over there, and pi electrons are very loosely bound. As a result, when photon is hitting that particular pentacene, then instead of one electron, two electrons are ejected. As two electrons are ejected, so obviously 100 photon is giving you 143 because of photon. 100 photon give you 143 electron, and as a result, the current flow will be enhanced. So that is the reason that people are trying to generate or different type of organic nanomaterial, which can be used as a device, and it can be used as a solar cell. Maybe one photon can eject 3 electrons, then you can get this device, and which can work very nicely. Next slide. So this is the different type of organic molecule, how they are arranging to a particular pattern to give you the device. Next slide. Okay, you watch the very small molecule. It is, you don't need to take polymer, very small molecule. How they are giving you, it is the ACM image of the different nanoparticles synthesized in our laboratory. And you can see this is very small nanofiber, nano belt, like this type of thing, and nano rods, and also broccoli type of molecule, all arrangement actually formed through the nanomaterial. Next slide. Okay, this is also very interesting part, that even all this type of, when you are making this type of nanomaterial, and there are hydrogen bonding, pi-pi stacking, van der Waals force of attraction, so all are non-covalent interaction. So non-covalent interaction actually binding this molecule to give you this type of nanomaterial, and which actually very interesting. As you can see, this is the area, you can see all this molecule stacked together, and different color over there you can see. So this is basically different type of weak interaction operating between this molecule to give you the nanomaterial like this. Next slide. Okay, so this is the thing I told you, that cathochromic shift is possible when you will get the J aggregate. You can see this is a sugar-based organic molecule, and that will give you nano bell type of nanomaterial, and which actually give you cathochromic shift, not only this UV but also fluorescence. You can see 360 shifted to 425, and here it is 260 shifted to 490. So these are the ability organic material having, and it give you different type of properties, so that if you can find a new properties, you can go for a new material, and you can go for a new device. Next slide. Okay. Now we will come to our business, that suppose cyanide. You know, cyanide is a very poisonous thing, and we can take through our water, we can take through different chemicals, or we can expose to different type of, because suppose HCN is a gas. So you can expose, and you can see that a lot of properties over there, like overall weakness, nausea, and headache, confusion, lot of property, lot of type of symptoms. If you take cyanide, that type of symptoms will come, and it only few microgram of even potassium and cyanide. If you take, then people can kill, people can die. So that's why cyanide is a very lethal thing. So I'll show you that how we can sense cyanide, and we can understand that the way we can do. So first thing I will discuss that cyanide can be sensed using organic with organic inorganic composite that is actually made of zinc oxide on what you call graphite. Next slide. Okay, you see over here, so nanomaterial, fabrication of nanomaterial is not a big thing. You can easily done. Suppose zinc oxide nanoparticle you want to synthesis, you can easily it can be done. You just zinc acetate, take in water and use sodium hydroxide solution like 0.0125 millimolar, just on about 1:1 and mix together, and immediately you will find out that nanoparticle will form, and you filter and then you dry and nanofiber will form. Go to the next slide. And if you put this nanomaterial on the ACM machine, you can see it is actually form a nanofiber, and this is now nanoflower type of things. They are coming together, and you can see very nice to see that zinc oxide nanoparticle is nothing but a nanofiber. So can you go to the next slide? Okay, so this is actually graphite. Graphite actually they are already in the nano layer. You can see over here, this is the nano layer over there, and this nano layer actually nano type of things, and you can easily deposit zinc oxide nanoparticle over it, and you can use this one, and we use this one for cyanide sensing. Next slide. Okay, so already you are having zinc oxide nanoparticle. So you take water, zinc oxide nanoparticle, then use graphene, and then you stir this one. So you can get nanomaterial, and then you can filter, you can get the zinc oxide nanoparticle, which is just sitting on that particular sheets of graphite. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. So you can watch over here. So previously I shown you that I had shown that the carbon graphite having a sheet like of system, and you can see that the zinc oxide nanoparticle on fabrication they are just coming on the surface of that one, and it looks like this, and still it can grow the nanofibril like the zinc oxide nanoparticle on the surface of graphite. So this is the material we are going to use to sense cyanide. Next slide. Okay, so when we use this material to sense cyanide, and that you can cyanide having micromolar solution like 0.02, 0.14, 0.2, 0.5, and you can see that nanomaterial having some fluorescence property, and this fluorescence property is enhancing. So sometimes they bind and quench, sometimes they enhance. So slowly you can see that when on microliter of adding of this particular zinc, and you can see the fluorescence spectra of this particular material, and it can easily, you can understand that how this material can sense cyanide, and will show you how much cyanide present in particular water. That may be water in the river, that may be water coming from industry, that may be in the pond. So you can easily analyze this one and understand that how much amount of cyanide present in that particular water sample. Next slide. Okay, you watch over here. So this is the I0. I0 means this is is the intensity of that particular fluorescence. I0 is the when zero concentration of material present, means zero concentration of nanomaterial present over there. So this is equal to I by I0, that is in y-axis, and in the x-axis we have the amount of cyanide solution present over there, and you can see this type of increasing this intensity is coming up, and if you present in color code that it is like this system, it looks nice, very nice, and you can see if you add chloride, bromide, or other type of things, you cannot get that type of fluorescence. Chloride, bromide, thiocyanate, carbonate, silic acid, sulfide, acetate, they cannot show you this type of observation. Next slide, please. So, okay, so this is one type of material can sense cyanide present in water, and you can quantify how much amount of cyanide is there. Not only that, you can indicate that whether this water is healthy to drink or not. Okay, we design another very interesting molecule that is made by halogen bonding. I told you hydrogen bonding, van der Waals force of attraction, hydrophobic interaction, pi-pi stacking. These are the weak non-covalent interaction actually operating between them, and to show you different type of observation. And here we discuss a unique property. This paper actually published this year to the ACS nanomaterial paper. And here we have halogen molecule. This halogen forming halogen bonding and give you different type of material. It can sense water, it can sense methanol, it can sense ethyl acetate, it can sense acetonitrile. All type of solvent can be sensed by this particular molecule. And not only that, it can also sense cyanide like this. So different color is coming, and we can easily understand that how it will sense cyanide present in water system. Next slide. Okay, so this is basically typically synthesis pattern of this molecule, and like chemists actually know, organic chemists know how to synthesize all this molecule. And if you are a physicist or technologist, you don't know this one, so you can discuss with organic chemist like Sapon Majumdar or Tripura University like that, and you can synthesize of your molecule of your own, and you can design that particular part, and you can make the device for a particular use. Go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the halogen bonding. You can see over here. So these molecules, how they are making halogen having interaction, halogen nitrogen having the binding force, halogen oxygen having the binding force. So these are the binding force which is called halogen bonding operating between them and make this organic nanomaterial. Next slide. Okay, you watch this molecule and having the nanomaterial, you can see in all nanofibrils, different type of molecules, A, B, C, D, all new type of molecules, and give you different type of nanomaterials. As you can see, it is called gel. You can see you have this solvent having organic material. You just heat and then cool down. Then you can upside down, so it remains upside. It is not coming down, so it is forming gel. Gel is nothing but the nanomaterial. So you can watch, you see an image of this particular nanomaterial formed by this organic compound due to the halogen bonding. Next slide. Okay, so this is the interesting phenomena that when this molecule having halogen, you can see it can sense water present in acetonitrile, and slowly it will increase its intensity during fluorescence. But when you don't have a halogen, it is not showing anything. Its bottom, it remains like that. So it is not sensing any water molecule over there. So that is the beauty of this material. How can we make this molecule to device? Next slide. Okay, you watch this very interesting phenomena. So this is A, B, C, D have a different molecule having, suppose it is 1A, and this one is 1C. And this molecule is nanomaterial, but when it's exposed to water, you can see it become little wider, and it become a very thick structure. So basically it will take water and it forms this type of binding with this water molecule, and that's why it senses water, and according to that size of the particle, it gives you different fluorescence, and we can measure the fluorescence and identify how much water present over there. And this is on C molecule over here. You can see this is the nano fiber type of thing, but you can see again it will become very thick, and it actually absorbs water molecule. And once it is thick or it is very large size, their intensity of fluorescence become changing, and you can measure this one and you can understand how much amount of water is there. Next slide. Because water is a very important sensing, you need to sense, because you need to fabricate solar cell, that water actually destroy the solar cell. So that's why it is sensing water is a very good phenomenon. Now you can see you have the compound over here, you can see there is no color. And if you add cyanide, that can give you orange color like that. So this is molecule 1, A molecule, it gives shows like that. And 1C molecule is showing in different way, that it's blue fluorescent, but it is going to the deep blue color of fluorescent material, and when you add cyanide. So basically cyanide is interacting with this organic molecule, and that is changing this particular concentration, and as a result it is also changing the fluorescence intensity, and measuring the just fluorescence intensity, that you can easily make this come to understand that what is the concentration of cyanide present in particular water sample you collected from pond, or collected from the industry, or collected.
I think there is a technical issues. Professor Philip might have left. Hello. Hello, Arshad.
Yes.
I think there is a technical issue. He left again. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I am calling him.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, welcome back, Professor Maiti.
Okay.
Professor Maiti,
Yeah.
you can switch off your video. Then it will be more easy for network to handle.
Switch off my video. Okay.
Yes, yes. Only audio. Yes,
Will be
that's
fine.
better.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so in the previous case, we told you that this enhanced the fluorescence. That's what I'm talking about. And but in this case, you can see this is reducing this fluorescence. So this is also a quantification method. You can perform this one. Now you can ask that how can I make device? That is very simple. You take this nanomaterial and paste on a particular ITO, and then you transform to particular what you call put, when you put this water and you have the IV measurement card, from that you can do. Okay, so that can easily be done. Next slide. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit elaborating this particular part in these few slides. So try to watch this one. That this is a basically organic compound, and this organic compound actually form nanomaterial. And this is a very simple reaction to organic chemist. It is basically N and O. They are actually reacting with the phosgene, CO2, Cl2. So this phosgene can be actually attracted over there, and it will form oxazole, and it will give you ESIPT off. Okay, I'll discuss this one very simple way so that the physicist and other people can understand a very simple technique that how can be done, and you don't need to know organic chemistry that much. So phosgene is very dangerous. Again, like cyanide, phosgene also, if you inhale, so you can die. People can die within few minutes. So that's why it is very dangerous. So can I make something and put in my home so that you can understand phosgene is generated over there or not in a closed space? Okay, so let's see. Next slide. Okay, so this molecule actually, when you titrate with phosgene, that can give you this type of UV-Vis and fluorescence phenomena. And as you can see that one side it is going down, another side is going up. And UV-Vis also you can see this is coloring, red color comes to colorless almost. And this colorless in fluorescence spectra, colorless system will give you greenish fluoride system. So this is also you can measure this one. You can measure the concentration of that intensity of that particular UV-Vis or fluorescence, and you can understand that how much amount of phosgene over there in the system. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so now in the medium, in this reaction medium, we expose this. You can confocal wavelength, confocal microscope. And you can see over here this different type of fibrous type of nanomaterial formed over there. And when titration is done, means complete, then it becomes greenish. So all phosgene is consumed and then it becomes greenish. So basically the molecule reacting phosgene, but the reaction is so fast, it will take only microsecond to transform the corresponding oxazole. And that will give you ISPT observation to show you that this is the way this material is transforming and giving you different type of observation. And according to that, you can measure and you can identify how much phosgene is there. Next slide. Okay, this is on technique that we know that you can see this is a phenolic OH and it is a oxime OH over there. And this phenolic OH is coming over here and oxime OH over here, and you can see when you are adding phosgene, slowly it is reacting and transforming to oxazole like this. But slowly also in NMR technique, we understand that okay, these two peak are already gone, and this is the peak is appearing because of this proton over here. So that is the organic chemist actually try to understand that what type of chemical reaction is going on. They try to understand this one. It is published in a big journal having high impact factor journal. Next slide. Okay, so phosgene can be titrated using this particular compound, and it can be done very easily. And you can see different type other compound cannot actually react with that particular system and cannot show you, but phosgene can give you a big peak to show you that yes, I am there. And it can be complex with that particular host molecule, receptor molecule, to show you different observation. Next slide. Watch this one. So this is 4 different stages, A, B, C, D. So this is basically nanomaterial. So that compound gives you this nanomaterial, and this nanomaterial is taken in a, suppose strip of a paper, strip of a slide, or strip of a ITO device, whatever you want to take, you can take. But if you expose to this particular phosgene, that immediately you can see it become very thick. That means in this surface, nanomaterial is reacting very fast. Within a nanosecond, it can react with that one and to transform to corresponding oxazole and give you this type of appearance in the ACM image. And slowly you more, so it will be more thicker, and then you can see more thicker, so like that. So nanomaterial you can easily also observe in ACM machine to understand that how the phosgene can be consumed and a organic nanomaterial can transform to other nanomaterial. I'll show you through device also that how you can watch that one. So this is the observation. So previously we observed by quenching the fluorescence spectra as well as UV spectra. Now you watch with respect to nanomaterial. Next slide. So now you will see that if you take in a different type of paper sheet, then also you can show you different type of observation. Next slide. Okay, watch this one. So this is the device you can use at your home, that you have a different type of strip, and you can start over here. So when it is very small, phosgene is there, it will be like this. You little more, and when you have very high concentration, it will be fluorescent strips like that. It can easily make you understand how much amount of phosgene present in that particular chamber or in your house. So this is the way you can sense, or you can sense the poison chemicals, basically gaseous chemicals, or this type of. Also we developed another things like hydrogen also can be done using that one. So go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. So in the previous system, we already discussed about that how can you measure the phosgene concentration or lethal gas with respect to UV, with respect to fluorescence in spectroscopy, and then also just watching this nanomaterial in the ACM. And also we have observed that just watching this particular strip also, you can fluorescent strip also, you can understand how much amount of phosgene present at that particular house or in a closed space. Now I'll show you a different type of sensor. So this is DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, is a solvent, organic solvent. We wanted to make some material so that it can DMSO can be sensed, that whether small amount of DMSO present over there or not. Yes, we found, next slide. We found very interesting compound. This is the compound. It's very easy to synthesize. You can see very simple. Just amine, take this amine and cyanide, it condense with the base and it will immediately give you this molecule. But what is the beauty of this molecule? You can see 4 different color of this particular compound because it has different amount of DMSO in this particular compound. So it will give you, watching this color or fluorescent color of this particular compound, you can easily understand that how much amount of DMSO present over there. And it is so sensitive that is, even you have microgram or nanogram of DMSO over in a particular place, that also can be easily detected by using this type of system. Next slide. Okay. So this is the nanomaterial. You can watch. This is looks like, but when it is exposed to DMSO, you can watch that it is not so sharp, but it is it looks like a little bit different, and it is blurred basically. So basically here DMSO actually removed from the system, and that's why it is not so sharp like this material. So this is having no DMSO, and this is having DMSO. So this is the SEM image of this two material. When you just heat a little bit, 50-degree temperature, DMSO is removed, and you will find out that okay, so that material shape is completely changed. Okay, so there are so many spectroscopy to establish this one by like Raman spectroscopy and other spectroscopy is there. So you can easily IR spectroscopy, you can easily establish this type of structure. So okay, I'm not going to that part. Go to the next slide. Okay, watch this one. So this is the basically molecular level mechanism of vapor making or switching. So this is the molecule, and this is they have the DMSO. These orange things are basically, or pink color basically DMSO system. So they are in between this particular layer. So this is the layer of that particular compound. In between you have the DMSO. It looks like this, and they basically they have a very nice interaction, having DMSO oxygen interacting with pi cloud of benzene. So benzene, you know, class 10 standard, that benzene having a lot of electron density. So this electron density is attracted by DMSO oxygen, and that's why they bound inside of that cage and remains over there. If you heat a little bit, that will be removed, and this molecule will become green. It is not fluorescent no more, so it will become reddish like that. And when it has DMSO, it is like a green material like that. So this is the compositional difference between two type of stage it is giving. So now I'll explain how we are going to use this material. It will be used as an English writing pad. Okay, next slide. Okay, watch this one. This is very interesting. So when suppose we are very young at this stage, we are studying like A, B, C, D. You can remember this stencil like that. So this is a paper. This paper is not made of cellulose, but it is a plastic paper having a few milligram of this particular compound on it. So this is basically a paper where you want to write. So this is a paper, but it is not cellulose. So now you put the stencil. So you put the stencil like that, and now you expose to sunlight. Now you remove the stencil. You can see A, B, C, D, E, F, everything is written in your paper. So this is called inkless writing. So you are not using any ink. You are using some material, organic nanomaterial, and that nanomaterial is used to write this one. So it is a writable paper. Now, if you heat a little bit, you want to reuse this one. Yes, you can heat a little bit around 50-degree temperature, sunlight, or exposed to sunlight. It will be removed, and it become little bit this color, brown color, and then you again expose to DMSO. Then your paper is ready for rewrite. So this is the beauty of this particular type of material. You can use this for a paper which is not cellulose, which can replace a lot of cellulose, but you can reuse this paper again and again using sunlight. But sunlight, you cannot use every time to do that. Let's see that what we did in a simple way. Go to the next slide. Okay, we use a pen. We develop a pen, and this pen is not having ink. It is having a battery, and it has a tip which is become warm. When you switch on that particular pen, it become hot at the tip, and you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You don't need to use any sunlight. So now your paper is ready. You can write. You want to reuse this paper, you heat this one, and you can again you expose to DMSO, you can use this one. So this pen is called inkless writing. So you have a hot pen, it is in the tip, so it is having no ink. So that's why inkless writing you can do very easy. Now go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so can you go to the previous slide? Okay, so this is my last slide. So after that, or maybe I'll show you some device, but it will be different. It is not like sensing thing. So this material can also be used like a security material. How is that? Suppose two promoter, they are claiming that they make a same building. So they go to the court, and now the deed is written by that particular way, and it is written, and then once it is written over there, so this deed actually kept in a in the you call it court, and they told you, okay, you come back with all evidence on 30 days. If you can prove within 30 days, if you can prove that, okay, this material, this building is made by you, then you can then it will be your property. If cannot, then we will destroy all these things. But how it can be destroyed? You know that if this paper will be kept in a box, and that box will be programmed that 30 days it remains same. After 30 days, it will create little heat, around 50-degree temperature. So every deed will be, there will be nothing, it will be written over there. So no one can claim that it is their building. Now it will go to the government, it will become the government property. So I'll stop over here. Now, if you have question, you can ask, and now it will go back. I will go back to Professor Majumdar.
Thank you very much, Professor Maiti, for his wonderful talk.
And a lot of disturbance.
I can remember our master degree, and then the beginning of PhD, we supposed to use overhead projector. So we use
Okay.
a transparent sheet, and we prepare slide manually by handwriting, drawing structure by hand, and then someone was there to just change the slide. So speaker always mentioned, next slide please, next slide please. So someone maybe in the remote area, so he changed his slide. So I can remember those days, even in 25 years old. Okay, but still, that's why people say the old is gold still now. Huh? So while we are in travel, so we used our old techniques. So anyway, so I am expecting a couple of questions from audience. Although I found some questions, yes, one question. Yes, how much toxic is potassium cyanide? There is one question by Mr. Josimuddin. Hello, Professor Maiti.
Yeah, can you repeat?
Yeah, he is asking how much toxic is potassium cyanide if we pipetted its solution manually. Wow.
Obviously, it is not toxic. It is dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't handle any handling with your hand, because even if few molecules you can take, you take this one, then people will die. So it is really dangerous. That's cyanide is very dangerous. And what I told, that it present in water, and we drinking water, or we are using this one, and slowly will expose, and slowly your organ will fail. And this is the dangerous thing about the cyanide.
Yeah. So I did not find many things. Just some someone mentioned very exciting, excellent graphical demonstration, something like that. So I have not seen any question in the chat box. But if someone wanted to ask, you can ask directly.
Please unmute your phone and start asking.
Yeah. Because I can't see any question, or nobody is asking question at all. So, Dr. Hussain, do you have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Okay.
So yes. So with this, I thank once again Professor Maiti and for his wonderful talk. So I hope in future also we can get this kind of lectures once again. So thank you very much, Professor Maiti. Now, yes.
Sorry for the disturbance.
No problem, man. It's okay. So, Dr. Hussain, now you.
Yes. So, thank you very much, Professor Sopan Majumdar, for conducting the session in a nice way, although some technical issues are there. But as a whole, it was okay, nice. And also, I would like to thank the speaker, our Dilip Da, Professor Dilip Maiti. He is very well known and very good researcher in his field. Participants, now with this session, we have almost finished all sessions and we are almost at the end of this program. And actually, I planned a small valedictory at 3:30, but now it's 3:15. So maybe in 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, we shall start the valedictory. Okay, so I will just contact my departmental colleagues, and I also request Professor Maiti and Professor Mujumdar to be with us in the valedictory sessions.
Okay.
Maybe in 5
Thank you.
minutes we shall start.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how was yesterday's defense? Dilip,
হ্যাঁ
yesterday defense কিরকম হয়েছে এই যে প্রজেক্টটা? গতকাল যে
আরে
defense-
ওই প্রজেক্টটা, হ্যাঁ ওই প্রজেক্টটাতে কি হচ্ছে, ওরা বলছে যে টেকনোলজি ট্রান্সফার, মানে তোমার ডিভাইস তৈরি হয়ে গেছে, তুমি এবার টেকনোলজি ট্রান্সফার করবে, সেই জায়গায় আমরা টাকা দেবো।
ও
কিন্তু আমাদের তো ডিভাইসটা তৈরি করতে হবে, ডিভাইসের প্রিলিমিনারি স্টেজে এসছে, কিন্তু ডিভাইসটা তৈরি করতে হবে। তো সেইভাবে বলেছি, এখন কি জানি না, দেবে না মনে হচ্ছে আর কি। ওরা টেকনোলজি ট্রান্সফারের জন্য চাইছে আর কি, মানে মোদির লোক তো
আজ
ওই জন্য।
সে তো পরে, আগে তো বাবা তুমি এখনই শুধু এরা মোদির লোক তো এখানে সবাই এখনই চাইছে সব।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, সব এখনই চাইছে আর কি, এটাই হচ্ছে সমস্যা।
বাচ্চা হয়েই সঙ্গে সঙ্গে পিএইচডি চাইছে আর কি।
হুম হুম হুম।
আচ্ছা।
Good afternoon, everyone. Now we shall start the valedictory session of this ongoing faculty development program. I request our head of the department, Professor Surjo Chattopadhyay, to chair this valedictory session. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, all the participants. I think you have enjoyed a lot. So now I have to start the validity session now, and I am requesting the coordinator, Dr. Syed Ashad Hussain, to conduct the validity program. Though I am in chair, but he will conduct the entire program. So please share with Dr. Hussain.
Thank you, Professor Surjo Chattopadhyay, sir. Let's start the valedictory sessions. So on behalf of the organizing committee and as a coordinator, I welcome you all and our chairman of the previous session and also speaker, Professor Dilip Maiti and Dr. Pavitro to this valedictory session. So first we will want to have some experience from the participants, maybe 3-4 participants. You can share, you can switch on your microphone and share your experience in few words.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, please.
Yes, myself, Dr. Jitumani Kolita from Cotton University, Guwahati. I have attended all the sessions and it was very well organized FTP, and in fact I really enjoyed each one of these sessions and I got a lot of informations, and I also very happy that you shared all the video links where we can get the information in later time. And with this I would like to congratulate the organizers for organizing this successful event, and it really helps us a lot. Thank you organizer.
Thank you, Dr. Kolita. Thank you for your feedback. So maybe anyone else, please. We are waiting. Okay, so we are having some feedback through chat window also. Usha Raghavan mentioned it was very nice FDV, disciplined participants. Congratulations, they congratulate the organizing team. So thank you, Dr. Usha. Omid Gupta also in the chat box mentioned it was very useful sessions. Dr. Putilli Bai also mentioned wonderful FDP. So it was nice having the good comments. But you know, this is first time we are organizing FDP through online mode. Although in earlier cases we have organized refresher courses and workshop, etc. But all these things are offline, physical mode. But this is first time online, and you know, in online we have to depend on technology more, and technology sometimes, you know, betray, sometimes fails, and that what we also experience in some cases. And we also gathered experience how to control, how to communicate with the participants through online. Offline, it's easier. One can announce, one can see the attendance, everything. But here you see it's remotely controlled. So I also as a coordinator and the organizer have learned a lot. So through a feedback, I have got some feedback through a feedback form, and few of participants, they mentioned about net, then sound quality, etc. But you know, net sound quality, it's not in my hand or you know in our end. Speakers are from their own places, you know, and internet always there may be some issues. So it's beyond our control, but we tried our best. Our speakers, they also tried their best, and it's a teamwork. And as a whole, I guess it was a successful program. So next time, of course, we will take care of these things, how we can improve our net or this presentation or voice kind of things. So I assure this part. Another suggestions regarding the timings between the sessions. Actually, to make you free after a certain time, we kept consecutive sessions. And since it's online, we thought that you can participate from your own home or maybe your workplace. So it's not like physical kind of things. All the times you are in the chair, like, so I thought it's okay, but still, as you have mentioned, there should be time between every sessions. So maybe next time we will take care of these things. Thank you for these suggestions. Okay, so another participant, he wants contact number and phone number of all resource persons. Yes, I will share contact number, email ID, all informations about the speakers with all the participants. Already I have shared all the videos except today's with the participants, and definitely I will share. And the speakers who shared with me their presentations, I will pass it to you all. Okay. So another participant suggested to increase the submission time for assessments. So maybe next time we will see this. Okay. But it's a very preliminary and based on the lecture. So we thought half an hour is okay, but next time we will take care of these things. So that's the feedback I got as a suggestions, and rest of all mentioned, it's very good. So thank you very much for your kind comments. Now I request our senior most professor, Professor Debojyoti Bhattacharjee, to speak maybe a few words to the participants in short. Sir, please.
Thank you all for all of your nice participation in this FDP program. Hello, it is audible, na?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. And I think that this is the next generation technique, this virtual platform. And with the advancement of technology, we have to adopt with the teachers, all of the teachers, scientists, researchers, they have to adopt this virtual technology with the advancement of technology. And I think that this FDP lecture and also in refresher course, any kinds of refresher course, if it can be arranged in this online mode, in the virtual platform, then participants from every corners of India, they can took part, they can join in this virtual platform. And as a result, the travel, they need not have to travel large distance, they need not have to spend money on this, and they need not have to spend time. They can, with their normal work, they can also participate in this type of program. And also the interaction among all the participants and speakers, it can also be increased in this way. And I think that in future, when this pandemic will be over, then along with the normal types of offline mode FDP or other seminars or symposiums, we should also stick to organize these types of virtual, this types of program in webinar or virtual mode, at least 2 or 3 in a year. And every department should do these types of things. I think that, well, and I'm now complete my lecture. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now we have with us one of the resource persons, Professor Dilip Maiti from Calcutta University, and he is a very renowned scientist. No need for any introductions, and we are well connected with him, and we get suggestions time to time from him. So thank you, Dilip da. So I request you to say some words in this session, sir. Please. Dilip da? Can you, yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Indeed, it is a very good program, and I found a lot of participants, different 50 participants over here, and we have enjoyed a lot of different, you can say, talks of different days, maybe device, maybe materials, and maybe how to bring all these
I'm video off for this.
I also enjoyed my way of but although there are some actually technology you cannot always cannot be right way. And I hope Dr. Asad will do more this type of program in the future. And thank you very much for joining this one. And with this reward, I will stop.
Thank you very much, Professor Dilip Maiti. Throughout the program, my colleague, Dr. Anirban, helped me lot regarding internet and other issues, technical issues, and also giving suggestion time to time regarding organizations. So thank you, Anirban. And now I request you to say few words. Dr. Anirban, please.
Yeah, so am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it was quite a bit of task for all the team to conduct such an FDP program. It's a new experience for us. And I cordially thank all the participants to share their feedback, which will give us impetus and also the inspiration for conducting such FDP programs in future. We understand that there were some technical problems, and if you also conduct such a program, you will see that no one of us are connected physically, so it can happen. So, but one good thing I see that most of the participants, maybe more than 95% people were very patient, and we are really grateful for your support, without which it was impossible for us to conduct such a beautiful program. So I again thank the organizer for giving me an opportunity to become a member of the organizing committee, as well as for the participants. Thank you very much. And I hope that we will see you again in such programs that we will be conducting in near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Anirban. And we have Dr. Pavitra Kumar Pal, one of the resource persons with us. Dr. Pavitra is a very good friend of mine and well connected with the departments, and he served few years in this department as a faculty member. Now he is in Jadavpur University as associate professor. So I request Dr. Pal to share few words with us.
Thank you, Dr. Hossain, for arranging such a very beautiful FDP program. And actually, we are passing through the this tough time, the COVID-19 pandemic here, and most of the seminars and symposia like all these things are basically now going on through online mode. And I feel that in this online mode, we are successful to in this tough situation, we're successful to share our knowledge, our experience, our motivation, etc. so through the online mode. And this FDP has started on 21st this month. So, and during these 5 days, I think I feel that all the participants from the different parts of the country have enjoyed and learned and a lot of things. And from the very good, all the speakers, renowned speakers, they have delivered their lectures. And I also try to deliver something here. So I feel so happy, and I become so privileged, and I feel that this FDP program successfully completed. And during this program, the topics are very, as I see the list of the their presentations, that the very good topics are chosen by the speakers. And I think all the participants are maybe benefited surely. And this kind of FDP program, basically it's like a refresher course. And I think this is the motivation for us, all of us, to continue our research, our teaching, our academic activities. So we get a lot of inspirations from the different angles, research, teaching, etc. And also through this program, we are also successful to communicate with each other. We can know each other, what we are doing here and there. So this it's a community. So we are very much happy to be here to join with us and to share our knowledge, etc. And I hope that Dr. Hossain and his team and the entire faculty members from the Tripura Department of Physics, Tripura University, will definitely continue this type of program in coming days or near future, so that more and more emerging topics we can understand, we can discuss, we can learn many things about the scientific, our research, the teaching, etc. And another thing is that we need to understand that that this type of faculty development program should also emphasize in the coming days about the research and to the community, for the community and for the country. And our innovation should be for the nation. So we should think about all these things together. And I think it is a grand success for this FDP as organized by the Department of Physics, Tripura University. And I must thank you all and for your patience and your experience and your knowledge sharing through this program, for which really benefited us. I thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pal. Department of Physics, Tripura University, time to time organize different conference, seminar, workshop, refresher course, etc. And although we are only 5 members, we are a very small department, but we work as a team. And teamwork always give some kind of success. Now I request our faculty member, Dr. Ratan Das, to say few words in this session. Dr. Ratan, please.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir, just I want to say that we have, as a team, we have organized this particular FDP online for the first time. So, as a whole, the great outcome is coming out of this FDP program. We may able to do more such FDP program in a better, sophisticated way. Thank you, every participants, for attending and participating very actively in this particular FDP program, which is organized by our department for the first time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ratan. Now maybe I request Mr. Jashim. He is my friend and our staff of Human Physiology departments. So I request Mr. Jashim to share his experience with us. Jashim bhai, please. Okay, so his microphone is not working. Anyway, so as a coordinator, again, I would like to thank all the participants because without your participations and support from the resource persons, it might not be possible to organize this program in a successful way. I shall try that everyone of you who has attended this program should have the certificate. Normally, according to the system, certificate will be distributed by the portal itself. I will just pass the attendance as well as assessment to them, and then they will pass the certificate to you directly, most probably. But I will update you on time, and I will take care of that. All of you should got the certificates, and sometimes we pressurize you for attendance or submitting the assessment link timely. This is because according to AICTE norms, we must look into the matter that all the participants should present or attend all the program, because this is related with promotion and professional development. So don't mind in this regard. And I would also like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir for his encouragement, support for our all-round development of the program as well as the department and the university. I would also like to thank all the faculty members, scholars, my students, specifically Ritanova and Surajit. They helped me a lot, especially regarding this assessment, all Google form preparation, assessment collection, feedback collection, etc. So thank you, Surajit and Ritanova. So during this pandemic, we have organized this program, and I am also very happy to see that all of you have taken interest in this program. So with your support, cooperation and feedback, we will try to improve ourselves next time. So on behalf of the coordinator, I thank you all once again. Now I request our HOD and chairman of this session to deliver the chairman address and conclude the session. Sir.
Sorry, there was a technical problem. So that's why it is late. So good afternoon to everyone. Actually, I think you have enjoyed the program a lot, but I don't know how much we are successful, and You are the assessor of this of the success of our program, and in near future we will organize a series of programs. Our plan is to organize series of programs, and I think you will participate. You will participate. We will send you the necessary information well ahead. And thank you again for your kind participation. And now with this, I am concluding this validity session. Okay.
শেষ করে দিন। হলো হয়েছে।